Good evening, Inspilled Glimmers, and welcome to this Reign of Jafar set review. Drew, welcome to the studio.
Hello.
As usual.
As usual, and as you see, we're back in the old vintage style.
I mean, it's a big set release. It's the end of a chapter. Chapter 2 starts at 9. And we've got important guests with us tonight. S4iler and DeVoTeD, both here with us in preparation for their world. Thanks, guys, for taking time out of your busy schedule to be here and talk about the set.
Thanks.
Always a pleasure to talk to you guys.
Before we dive into the details, what do you think about the set as a whole? Do you think it has the power to change the meta, or will we be at the same place that we are right now?
I think it has one very, very powerful card and others that will see more play once the rotation hits. But I think a lot of its power is being kept in check by the power of the set 1 through 4, which are simply better, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And it's the wardrobe, right?
Good joke.
I'm afraid not.
But they reprinted higher. Anyways.
I think it's gonna depend on what cards they reprint or not, but it's hard to see beyond the horizon what's gonna happen. So.
Oh, I see what you did there.
It's still funny that they printed like 2 or 3 versions of Hiram at Home this set, and none of them are even remotely playable.
No.
It's like they knew.
Rip Hiram.
Which color should we start with? What's you guys excited the most?
I think Steel got the most.
Okay.
Not necessarily in terms of number of cards, but in terms of quality.
Okay.
And I also think...
Not the answer I was expecting.
Yeah, well, for me, it's mostly one card,
Yeah.
but it's like game wrapping, warping.
Do you want to start right there, then?
Yeah, we can start with it if you guys want.
Yeah. Which one is that?
Yeah.
I think they meant it to be like a revised version of Whole New World, but somehow
It's better.
it can be better. So it's called Beyond the Horizon.
Yeah, let's go to Beyond the Horizon.
It's like the last one because it's
There it is.
Right. 200,
Pretty much the
200,
last card of the set, 203, I think, 202.
Yeah.
Return of Sing Together for set 8, just like in set 4. Sing together 7, choose any number of player, they discard their hand and draw 3.
So, as the player who plays this, you can choose whether you want your opponent to be affected with it or not, or even yourself. The disparity, right, between that is what I think makes this very abusable. Because because with cards with like archetypes like Emerald Seal Discard, you could use this and draw a billion card with Prince John. I think it's mostly Prince John is the card that makes this absolutely bonkers. And there's so many things you can do with it. I'll try to say a few of them, but they're mostly in Emerald Steel and a little bit in Ember Steel as well. But in Emerald Steel, you can shift things, right, so that you can do it quickly, right, just as you can do it in Ember Steel as well. But you can also take your time. And if you're playing against a control deck, you can really wreck their whole plan by making them discards, right, as soon as possible. But also, if you take some time and deploy a Prince John and a Muses, for example, you could be... and maybe play a second Prince John, right? You could be singing with both of them. They're not interactable, right? So those 2 cards cannot be interacted with mostly outside of really very fringe cards that don't see play, right? And you could also have Ursula 3 sing it, right? So let's talk about a scenario where you have Ursula 3.
While she's not working with the Amethyst one, is working with that one.
Yes. So you're playing, let's say you're playing Ursula 3 into Muses, into player Prince John, sing this. Yeah. So you can sing it once, discard your opponent's hand and yours, you do yours first, let's say, right? You draw 3, you make them discard their hand, you draw all. You draw whatever they discarded with the Prince John. So let's say they had 4 cards. You make them discard 4, right? So you drew 3, and then you make them discard 4. So you draw 4 more. You're at 7 cards, right? Now with the muses, you can bounce one of their character, and then sing it again.
And then they discard 4 again.
And they discard 4 again, so you're up to 11 cards in hand.
Yeah, in green steel it's
Oh,
pretty
God.
strong because every bounce becomes a banish in some way because you just make them discard the cards you bounce anyway. And for green steel, this song is much easier to sing than Whole New World. So
Yeah.
so
It's much easier, but it's very not as disruptive, right? In terms of like the Prince John uses type of combo, and also you could also put your welcome right into that deck, so that you're welcome before you sing this, so that the draw 2 is actually not a draw 2 for them, but a draw 2 for you because of your Prince John being able to get those 2 cards, right?
Mean.
There's so many mean things you can do with this. For me, it's absolutely frightening. And I've tested quite a bit of it. And I've tested it in Ember Steel. And while you can play it sooner, right, with Cindy into Ursula, right, you can play it as soon as turn 3. And then you can play You Have Forgotten Me, right, on turn 4. So you can set it up, right?
Man.
You could play like turn 1,
Ember's
turn
still
2,
discard.
right? Turn 3, you play like Lady and a character, whatever. And turn 4, you just
Wreck your
refill
hand.
both hand, and then You Have Forgotten Me. Obviously, you need to find it off of the Beyond the Horizon. You cannot keep it in hand potentially, or you do it, but you only do the Beyond the Horizon on the opposing side. So for me, what's really makes this card like over the top is the fact that you get to choose who it affects. I think it should have said, to be honest, like every player decides for themselves, right? I think that would have been a fair card.
Yeah, I don't think it would have been played because, like, the good
Maybe
thing
not.
about that is versus Whole New World is that when you're
Empty-ended.
both empty-ended and your opponent is just waiting on you to play a Whole New World
Yep.
when you're playing Steel Song or something like that, and you're just like, yeah, I'm gonna take 3, you take nothing, or the opposite where your opponent's in Amethyst, he has 15 cards in hand, and you're like, okay, back to 3 for you.
So you drawing 3 on the condition that you have like 7 worth of Singer plus that you have 0 cards. For me, that is fair, right?
Yeah.
But if your opponent amassed card because they're afraid of you playing discard deck cards, right? And then you can make them discard the whole hand, right? Even if they have 3 cards, it's very likely that these 3 cards are better than the 3 from the top of their deck, right? So, like, it's almost always disruptive, and it punishes control deck from amassing cards in hand so much.
But so did the Whole New World. So, like, in that regard,
Yeah.
it's more that if you're able to get some card advantage, you can really just punish them and keep your cards in your tempo.
You say that, but a Whole New World draws back 7 cards, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yes, I'm
3
punished
is-
for keeping cards, but at least I'm getting back to 7, right? After it.
yeah, unless you have a very big hand, usually you get more cards after a Whole New World. Where with this one, you usually have less card afterwards if you're playing control, which is gonna be
Yep.
a problem.
This is like a Blurple Slayer also.
Yeah,
It
potentially.
slays it slays
Yeah, all
Amethyst.
control decks, right? Like red purple gets absolutely demolished by the line I just started with, right? Like you play Prince John Muses, game is over. Like unless you played like 1 drop, 1 drop, 1 drop, 1 drop, something like that, right? But then you just don't do it. You just play like you play Ursula 3, play a bunch of songs to take them out, and then you play the Beyond the Horizon after after they've drawn off of all the characters. You know.
That's the problem with the card, I believe. It's like you can play around Whole New World by dumping your hand in. Like, okay, go ahead, Whole New World, I'm gonna draw a card. But like for this one, you just dump your hand and they use it on themselves only. So
Exactly,
You're
they
stuck
just
with
don't
no
do
cards
it.
still. So it's like his card is.
Yeah, no, to me, that's the point. It's a lot more brutal when your opponent is just, okay, cool, you're going to play Whole New World, let's do a top deck war and see who wins when I can draw 2-3 cards a turn and you can't.
And also against this card, like you've got this very dilemma of like, okay, so do you keep cards in hand and get got by the Beyond the Horizon, Or do you dump your hand so you don't get got by the Beyond the Horizon, but then suddenly all the sudden chills and hypnotizes and stuff gets you, right? So you're never in a great spot, right? Like it's never good for you.
Yeah, this card seems like a monster for Green Steel, but it's also good in Ember Steel because it's like their 5, 6, 7 whole new world. And the way Ember Steel lose is that they don't find the whole new world. So having more hits with Ariel and this, it just make the deck
Yeah, you
more
can dig
consistent.
for it. The only problem is it's uninkable, and you're already so pressed for uninkables in those decks. Well, Green Steel is not as bad, but Ember Steel is definitely like
Yes.
But they have one drop that can cycle if needed. So
maybe. Yeah.
if you go to greedy.
also, obviously, if you have 2 copies, the Shift Diablo can discard the first one, so it's not as bad at Green Steel as well.
yeah.
True.
Yeah.
True.
So I'm
I'm
my choice
surprised
for
because
best
that's
card
not
in
where
the-
I thought we
in
were
the-
going first. When I was looking at the releases, I saw the Lady and the Tramp cards, and I was like, well, now we know who's getting all the love this set.
Yeah,
There's like 2 new ladies, 2 new tramps, and all of them fit well into the archetype.
Yeah.
Really,
Guess what's good against Chernodogs and Chernodogs?
this
Emerald
card.
Steel. Yeah.
that's the,
Diablo and Ursula 3.
that's the thing, right? You asked us like, what's the color that got the best? It's like green, yellow did get more good cards,
Yes.
but this one
Yeah.
is so much stronger that it overshadows the green, yellow cards, right? So. Yeah, in terms of quantity, I think the Chernodog got the best of this set. But this Beyond the Horizon alone just wrecks everything.
And it's an uncommon, so
Yeah. I feel like it might be a marketing thing, no. But like the movie just came out and it's a Lilo and Stitch art, so like the good timing was there. Like, oh, let's put a very broken card with Lilo and Stitch and
Maybe you're
make a
onto
movie.
something there, Pat, because you remember Shark, Maui have Shark?
Yeah,
right?
that's too.
came
Right?
out with the
Yeah.
with
Yeah,
the
yeah.
movie
Maybe
release.
there's
maybe there's a thing there.
I'm
Imagine
pretty
if
sure
they
that-
were giving a promo version of that card when you watch the movie. That would be nice.
But I'm pretty sure that didn't see it making it an uncommon. Like they could have at least made it a rare, and they would have acknowledged the power and how broken it is. No, I just think it was kind of by mistake.
Yeah, maybe.
It's a worse whole new world, guys. It's fair.
Also, maybe it makes sense without the Prince John and Muses, right? Being in the
Yeah.
format. Post rotation.
Maybe it's just gonna be obnoxious for one set, and then we're gonna be good.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll see. But let's take a moment to
Address the dog in the room.
address the dogs in the room. Yeah, exactly. Talk about our new cards. I think I'll start with of the playable ones the least exciting of them, which is ironically the lady, in my opinion.
The least exciting, I think it's.
I
one
think
of
that's the
powerful
most
ones.
exciting.
Yeah, this one is pretty exciting in my opinion.
I mean, it's
It makes your turn
I'm conflicted
crazy.
about this one because it's super exciting on paper, but when you play this list by turn 3, you're lucky if you still have like cards in your hand.
I think it's exciting because it also fits into other archetypes.
Yeah.
Like you could have this in like Steel Song, and it gets you a lot of value.
Oh,
Just
yeah,
like
that-
dropping a Smee, you have tons of questing power. on the board.
I do think it's better in Steel Song than
Oh,
it might be. Like in Chernobox, it's another inkable. It quests for 2. It's aggressive. Like there's no problem with that card. I'm just not sure how often you're going to play it on curve and still have actual plays to make with it. Because usually by turn 3, you have a Tramp in hand, like a Tramp 7, or the Shift Lady. You don't
This
really
is so
have a
good
lot
with
of-
Tramp 7. What are you talking about? Like, this puts 2 more characters so that your Tramp costs even less.
Yeah.
Fair.
And
you
it's
also
still
draw a card a turn, so you have juice. I think.
Yeah. Okay. We'll see.
and there's a new trend that draws cards too. But yeah, this
Yeah.
thing, if you're running out of card and you play this and the 2 cost character you play with it is Duck, it's pretty strong.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of cool things to be done with this, and also the fact that it costs 3, even though it doesn't really cost 3, right? It means that it can be a singer for the obviously very powerful songs as well, right? Obviously, that's not what you would want to do, like singing
your
with your
first
Tulak
one, but-
Quester, but that's something at least that is
Yeah, it's interesting because it
Available.
means that even if like the other player challenge or banish your 1-drop and 2-drop on turn 3, you can play this and Ursula for free, and then you have 2 singer on turn 3 that came up, so it's like very much harder to prevent singing song the next turn. So yeah, I think still Song and Emerald could be very good with this.
Yeah, I like the
As long as
card.
you can draw some.
More singers for our Beyond the Horizon.
Yeah,
It had 5 singer value.
absolutely.
Yeah, well,
7 with the
that's
Ursula.
7. Yeah, like that and Ursula or that and Troubadour is 7 on turn 3.
You
Yeah.
can skip turn 1, turn 2, and still go good.
But you're saying it was the least exciting. Which one are you excited about?
I'm genuinely like that Tramp to me is
Well, this is the payoff, right?
yeah, but it's the payoff on turn 4. Like you're an aggressive deck, and starting turn 4 when they start removing your characters, you just refill your hand.
Are you though?
I mean, you draw a card when they banish your characters.
Yeah, it's good versus steel, I guess.
Yeah. It's interesting, like the whole palette they give to that deck. Like you have the 7-drop one that kind of like lets you card select what you want for it to adapt your game plan. You have this one that lets you just like just straight up draw the cards instead of just selecting.
Yeah.
So one into the other also fit really well, in my opinion.
I also think that, like, one of the discussions around this deck is it's losing Chernabog with rotation. With this, you keep your gas going. You don't necessarily need the Chernabog as your top end finisher, that big monster that comes in once you've filled your discard and everything. So no, I'm curious to see where this goes. But this one, plus he looks so dapper. Like
Yeah, it looks.
Yeah, it's
That-
a very
that
good
one
reference of
genuinely
target
talked to
too.
I think it's a bit worse than what people think.
it might be. It might
Because
very
I
well
think
be.
it's like if you're set up with a whiteboard, you probably already won, right? And
Yeah.
a lot
Well-
of the cards that that would be like that would be able to take out other things, right? Like so you cannot really quest with it, right? If not, you're
That's
just
not what you want
exposing
to
it.
do.
But I would say he basically has bodyguard at that point if you start questing him. Like they have to deal with him if they don't want to give you like a bajillion cards, right?
Right. Yeah, 8 is not 7.
Yeah,
8 is
sure.
not 7.
I mean, you can
No,
just
but like crab fox, right? I'm
yeah,
thinking
yeah,
about.
yeah. Okay, crab, fox, shark, what have you.
It's the same like conundrum as you had with library.
Library.
Yeah, like it stays there for a while longer.
I mean,
Right.
you can just go turn 1, 2, 3 and not go sideways that much, and then put this.
Yeah.
And you know the big removal are like Sisu and B prep, but even if they clear board, you still draws a bunch of card, and this one is weak to like Brawl and Sisu, but you still draw with it. So it's like they really need to banish it first and singularly, like just this one, and then banish.
Yeah, the
rest.
fact that it applies to itself as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my biggest issue with it is that if you're not shifting it, you're never playing that card.
Oh, no,
so
true.
it's dead a lot of the time in your hand is my big issue with it, right? Because if you're like if you're Ruby and still opponents, right, are not dumb, they're just gonna take out the Tramp, right?
The small one,
Like the small one just becomes a very big target. So I guess it has some upsides because they don't take out the 2 lore questers, right? But still, for me, this being able to not be played if your opponent is aware of it means that it kind of loses a lot of its power.
It's probably why they printed another Tramp 3-drop that can give wards to itself. So for the red matchup, it helps trigger the combo.
Actually,
Yeah.
we can go to that card just
Yeah,
as segue.
Have it somewhere in here,
Yeah,
right
it's-
there.
Oh,
Right,
you
it's right
passed
there.
The card that's not so great to drop on turn 3,
That's the
but it
issue.
can
no,
protect
like,
your
you're
15
kind
line.
of sad if you're playing that on turn 3.
You probably
Yeah.
do not play a lot of copies of it if ever you play it. Maybe it's like a one of, and sometimes it will work to set up that play, but I kind of don't see it because I feel that the shift one is also repurposing your removal because Tramp is your removal in
Yeah.
that deck. So you just repurpose it into card draw afterwards and like kind of a threat.
So that's
No,
why I'm not too high on it. I think both ladies are better.
I was about to say, to me, the biggest win the deck gets is replacing its 1-drop uninkable by a 1-drop inkable, which is the lady. Because then that deck was already like filled to the brim with uninkables. I think it was at between 15 and 18, depending on the build.
And it synergized so well with the Tramp again. Like, it gets a +1 by itself, gets a +1s from the Tramp, and then also, if it sticks to the board, it'll just quest for more than your lady used to.
Yep.
This also being able to be good both on the play and on the draw, and you get to decide how you manage that is what makes this card good, I think, in my opinion. Because like the problem with these decks is that they're pretty medium to terrible on the draw, right?
Yeah.
And this being inkable and flexible on both sides of the coin flip, for me has like a lot of value.
No, for sure. And the big lady, the one that you shift, was already kind of a removal in herself, being a 4/4. Now, if you shift her onto this, if I'm not mistaken, it becomes a 5/4, because it does see the play before shifting. So
It tracks.
yeah, it tracks the +1.
Yeah,
So
and by the time that you shift her, usually you're kind of out of gas for her to get the +1s, right? Like you don't have many more characters, so it's a nice shift target. It becomes a nice shift target.
There's one thing though that the China Dog plays that helps with this card too is the Cricky. Like on turn 5, if you want to play Cricky, it triggers the lady directly, so you can play one character and still get 3 lore from lady. That's also pretty
true.
good.
It's a nice burst.
it's a hidden finisher in the deck.
It's like you keep your characters and then they quest or something, and you just wipe board by challenging with stronger character, and then this one can quest for 3. So playing one character and questing for 3, it's pretty good.
I will say though that if you're playing Emerald Steel and you see this on turn 1, you're very happy, specifically if you have Diablo on 1, because you get to take this out in 2 hits and don't get any retaliation out of it. So, and
It's not the deck with the most retaliation, that's for sure. For
Yeah.
invasives, at least.
no.
Patrick,
Yeah.
what excites you in the deck apart from Beyond the Horizon?
You mean in the set?
In the set.
Yeah. like,
I don't think the card is necessarily very strong, but it excites me to deck build with it. It's the legendary Lilo. I've been trying to make airfoil work for a long time, and I think that this card could be a very key piece for that, because
There we go.
airfoil decks wants to have a bunch of actions, and this one also wants to have a bunch of action, and red-green is not a card pairing we see a lot, so looking forward to build a red-green action-based deck with this Lilo. I think it makes a lot of sense there, because playing cards for free is always good, and red-green has good actions. You can also play the Robin Hood that can do actions by questing. The big one also, they have like the Bruto and even Parrot's Life. They can do a lot of stuff. So, or even the You Came Back, where you can just do it again and quest and quest and quest. So yeah, red-green action seems very interesting just because of that card. But not just red-green. I think it can be played in other color pairing. But as soon as you put that card in your deck, it becomes a Lilo deck, and you build your deck around it, just like Mufasa. But I prefer Lilo because it's less random and casino style. So yeah, I would try to build some Lilo deck.
Yeah.
It's also like Maui Half Shark's best friend, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it fits pretty well with it.
In theory, right? Because like people don't exert all that much into Shark, right? So like if they have it in their deck, that's even less likely that they do it. But it becomes even worse to exert in front of a shark, for sure.
And if people don't exert, the shark can just sing again another thing. So
Yeah, that's true. Speaking of that, by the way, it's a very nice synergy with Ursula 3. Obviously, the songs in Emerald Ruby are not that great, but it puts you a 2/3 right out of the condition already just by singing a song off of Ursula 3. And you can play this, unexert the Ursula 3, and then sing again, right? So you could like
sing 4
quadruple
times.
song
you can do that.
on the same turn, right?
We're going to see Strike a Good Match and
yeah.
Sudden Chill be very, very important cards there.
Yes, maybe Mother Knows Best.
Yeah, Mother Knows Best is the other one I was going for instantly.
Like Teeth and Ambition, but that's not too good.
8
not a
damage.
lot of good targets to put it on.
Yeah, if you don't have the bodies to hold the damage.
Well, I think the 2 cost Queen of Hearts from last set is like one that can sustain it and get
You can
value
sustain
out of
one, not the other, but you know.
Well, you
No,
can put one on
Ursula
Ursula,
can
one
take
on
the
the
other.
Damage your board.
So there's a lot of cool things to do with Lilo, and in our playtesting, like you're able to do sometimes you play 3 in the same turn, right? Because as soon as you get the first one for free, any ones that you have
Yep.
also gets in for free. And look at her cost. What can she sing with in Emerald?
I just thought about something looking at the
At 5,
red
there's a
green
lot.
song that costs 3 or less. If you have a Lilo for free, you can biddy baddy boo hit, play another 5
Yeah.
drop, and then play Lilo again for free. So you can
Yeah.
just spawn all your 5
Yeah,
drop.
so many funky stuff you do with her. But what I was going to is like this sings Bruno. very
Bruno.
well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we don't talk about Bruno exactly.
Yeah, I was thinking about Bruno. Like this is big.
But yeah, the archetype is like is getting a new tool. So if people want to experiment with it, I think it's a good
And I-
time to be.
And I think red green flaws has always been drawing cards. And you can put Diablo, but it's not as good as in Emerald Steel, for example. So I feel like airfoil might work, especially if you run the 3-drop Ursula. So yeah.
And what I want to get to is like, I was like when they announced the formats for World, I was just like theory crafting what the color combinations could be, and there was a world where Emerald Ruby was one of the decks you want to bring if you had like if you want to have like Blurple and Steel Song as your other 2 decks, right?
Yep.
So like you genuinely have 2 of the existing decks, and this is kind of like the outlier. But then you have things like that make the archetype a lot more solid. Yeah, who knows?
Yeah, it's not impossible.
Yeah, because if you're not doing that and you're going with discard, then that leaves you with Ember Ruby, and I mean, that made it work. But
to be fair, I would not discredit any color combination for Worlds because there's this banning that's going to take place, right? That opens up so many decks to be viable again, right?
Yeah, and for red green, I was talking about airfoil to draw, but you could also go like the Prince John discard card because they also get a new action that's only.
Yeah,
red
let's talk
green.
about this one.
It's a very good one, also.
Oh, so it's a massive one, I think.
are we going the lever route?
Undermine.
Oh,
Undermine.
My bad. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, this is basically a sudden chill that you cannot sing, right?
Yep.
But that also
Buffs
puts
one of
all
your
your little
characters.
dorks, right? Like and can get like it's very good against aggro because you're making them discard the few remaining cards that they have in hand, and then suddenly your 2-cost Ursula can take out a 3 willpower character.
Diablo
Even
can take out the Daisy. Like
yeah, exactly. And also, you could put the 2-drop Mulan that gets +2 whenever you play an action. Suddenly, it's like a 5-2, right? 5-3, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that can take out basically anything. I think this card is very good.
And you mentioned like this is it's like a sudden chill but action, but in some cases it's better because it doesn't get put away from it Ursula. So
Yeah, exactly.
it's easier to keep.
And it gets sniped.
harder to remove from the hand.
Yeah, this one's gonna be good.
I encourage you guys to bring this color combinations, especially with actions. I have both an enchanted figure and a Robin Hood, so like I'm all for I'm all for you guys making them work. I want to play those cards.
Tigger in a world full of evasives and brawls and Sisu, I'm not too sure.
No,
but
I'm not too hopeful
Wait for a
about it.
rotation.
yeah,
I'm not
maybe.
too hopeful for it. I bought that one because I really like the art, and Tigger is my favorite.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's great. Yeah.
It's really the only reason. I never expected it to be genuinely playable.
While we're talking about Emerald discard, I think there's another card I'd like to highlight, and that is Chip.
Chip, yeah. Let me get to it.
It goes on curve
There
so
it is.
well.
Yeah.
Oh man, this. Okay, so let's say you play Ursula 3 or Prince John and say, okay, I'm gonna Pete, so you cannot sing song, making me discard. You just Chip. They're like, oh, I've played a Pete for absolutely no value, and then this is a 4 cost, right? So what? Your deck is full of 3 costs.
Beyond
3 plus 4 is
the
equal
horizon.
what? Beyond the horizon.
And if they don't beat, you can play Chip and sing Sudden Chill.
Yep. Very, very good. I think we had that card in Ember, right? Like as a 2/3, but this is just
Better.
Yeah, no,
This is just the Emerald version.
there's something with squirrels and discarding. A trend. I know it's a chipmunk. It's not a squirrel, but
Yeah. No, I feel that it's in a more relevant color, I want to say. The Ember one, like, obviously, we have, like,
you have forgotten me.
You have forgotten me. You could play the Daisy. I sure it's not super played in that archetype, but I feel that now it isn't the most relevant color to work with John. Like Sailor just said, like going John into that is just good value.
Yeah, and I think
And it doesn't have the drawback that Friar Tuck
Yeah.
had. Was that the one?
Yeah, because you had to have a lower hand than your opponent for that. So
yeah, and I
This is just
think
like-
in this incoming meta, especially with like Beyond the Horizon and Pete, we already see that Pete is everywhere. So we're gonna see a lot of Pete, and having ways to make your opponent discard without an action, it's very important because you don't want to miss a turn because of a Pete, and especially against Emeralds, Amethyst Steel that they can repeat. So yeah, any cards that are character that do something good for you is gonna be very strong.
And I mean, any good representation of my boy Chip right here is gonna be good with me.
Yeah, the art is very nice too. Yeah.
Agreed.
And while we're on this card, I thought these were gonna be memes because like I like the cards, but I didn't expect them to be good. But you were telling me, Sailor, that they actually work fairly well. So where did I put that card?
what are you looking for?
Pull the
Pull
lever.
Crumb.
It's in yellow.
Such a nice
it's
symbol.
Oh, it's in purple. Right. There we go.
right there.
Pull the
There we go.
lever.
So we were talking about this card, but I think this card will be played as a draw too, almost like 90% of the time. But sometimes, yes, you'll play it as an expensive
Yeah.
sudden chill.
If your opponent has
But-
only one card and you know it's Bring the Horizon, and then
Yep.
I mean, if you have a Prince John of your own, like this is basically a draw one, discard one, draw one. It's still a 2-card swing.
yeah.
So I think what makes this good is wrong lever. So if wrong lever was not a card, I think this would be fairly medium. But because you have wrong lever, that is like an extremely powerful card.
What's wrong, lever?
Yeah, wrong lever is arriving. There we go.
Wrong lever, yeah. So this is a good card on itself, even if you don't have pull the lever in your discard, right? Because you can get the Mother Knows Best ability, right? So you can bounce one of your characters. Maybe it's a rabbit to draw a card. Maybe it's a goat to end the game. Maybe it's a shark so that you can quest, right? It's all sorts of different stuff. But if you have pull the lever in your discard, this become a 3-cost Dragonfire that is even better because the character don't even get to the discard, right? It goes at the bottom of your opponent's deck. And the only condition is that you have a pull the lever on your discard. And so pull the lever, the weird thing about it is that you want to get it to the discard. One thing that is nice about its addition into the Amethyst Emerald deck is that you could play it along the Diablo and discard it, right, as a way to put it into your discard without losing the tempo from actually playing the card. And even in tempo oriented, you could play this, the pull the lever, on top of France as your card draw instead of doing the rabbit bounce package, right? Because then you have like it's basically a 3-cost rabbit, right? To pull the lever.
Yep.
That doesn't bring a body to the board, right?
But it's sinkable.
But it's sinkable, right? And so that's the thing that were sometimes hard, right? You wanted to put the genie, but it was not enough draw power. So now you can put the genie, put the gas in, right? Like in terms of like of high low pressure, and then have the pull the lever be the one that gets you back your cards, and eventually activates your wrong lever to be like the cards that you need to play for these very important cards, right? Like Shark, right? Shark breaks that deck, right? But if you have that and you are able to play a character plus take out the Shark, that's such a big tempo swing, right?
Yeah. You can also put the pull the lever in the discard with Strike a Good Match. So Yeah, as
Yeah.
long as the strike, the pull the levers and the discard, this card becomes OP. So
Oh yeah,
I think the
absolutely.
big question
Like
with this
oppressive.
card is the split. Do you want to go 3-3, 4-2, or
Yeah.
4-3? I think that's
Yeah, I
the
agree.
question you need to answer.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
What,
I
what
think
I-
it's gonna depend how much you can use the first line of the wrong lever, right? Like if you're tempo enough, I think like having you definitely want more than 2, possibly like 3. I don't think 4, but
But if
maybe.
you need to have one more than the other, it's the pull the lever, obviously.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
it
obviously,
demands
because
the
you
other.
want it,
Yeah.
you want to find it more
First.
often than wrong
Yeah.
lever.
And what I like with the point you brought, that it's kind of a rabbit, but it's inkable and like has other applications. Is also like it frees up so much space in your deck for not having
Yeah.
to include all of the bounce package to make the rabbit good. So now you can play like all the cards you said, like the a Diablo package, maybe like an Ursula because you want more songs. Like
Yeah.
it just opens up a lot of avenues in the color combination.
Yeah, because this is basically like a full-on fox to a degree, because you can either bounce one of your characters for value, or you can use the like, oh yeah, I'm gonna rush into your thing and banish your character by returning the pull the lever and sending it to
Yeah.
the bottom. So
And it's funny
Yeah,
because the first time you look at pull the lever and you see you're probably gonna use the draw two card more often than the other option. It's like, oh, this is just a worse friend because you cannot sing it. But the amount of time where you get played an Ursula 2-drop and they cannot remove it, it's gonna be so fun. That's why I like the Finders Keepers in purple and red purple. Like, okay, good, you cannot remove it with your Ursula. I'm gonna draw 3
Yeah.
next turn. So
Yeah,
sometime being
nothing
in
you can
action
do.
is much better if green is
Yeah.
a top tier meta deck, and it probably will. So yeah.
And also, we don't know if they're gonna reprint Friends on the other side
That's
with
it.
rotation. I do believe they will. It's one like of the marquee cards of the color, but we don't know.
We don't know.
and it's a common.
The only one we know, well, we know a few, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
like Tinkerbell.
And we don't know
I
about
mean,
Bruno if it's gonna be reprint.
We don't talk about Bruno, Pat.
Yeah.
No, we don't know about him. I want to take a really quick detour on one of the cards that I think, like, I keep saying this card is my favorite card in the set, not because it's going to be powerful, but because I think this is one of the most versatile cards they've printed in a long time. So, Clawhauser being a singer, a bodyguard, and a heavy quester with 4 toughness. I like the design space that they went with it. I don't see it being like, oh, Staple and Steel Song or whatever. Their 3-drop is already loaded. But I really like what they did with that. I think it's an interesting thing to keep in mind because of how, like, fluent it can be, I guess.
To be fair, with like rotation, we're losing Ariel.
We don't know, but yeah.
No, yeah. We're probably losing Ariel Spectacular Singer, which means probably the premium Ember deck that is not Chernodogs will want something in that spot, because we can think of the Aurora, the legendary from last set, but it kind of has not shown up.
Oh yeah, but
a
even
lot.
even if you think back of set 5 with the Diggy Diggy Hole line, where you want to be like a more aggressive deck, you want to have your mine, you want to have your like dock and everything. Well, then with this, you can protect your board. It can also help sing your very important Beyond the Horizon afterwards. So
You could start including like Zeus, like Diggy Diggy Hole was not playing
Yeah.
Zeus back in the day. Now you could, because you have something to sing with it.
and even if you have nothing to bodyguard with, it's still a heavy 2 quester. So like I really like what they did with him. Plus it's Clawhauser. Like I'm a sucker for the attitude.
my issue with it is that it's bad against the things that were already good against those archetypes,
Yeah.
which is Fox and Sisu. So
No,
I don't see it being played, and I think the versatility is also its problem, because it's basically does a bunch of things, but there's a card that does those things better, right? So it's I agree that it's versatile, but it's kind of not what you want to do. it's kind of not what you want. You kind of would prefer to have the power instead of the versatility. I think in that.
Yeah,
type of
it's
card.
not the best at anything. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
I also think that Lorcana players as a whole tend to be a little too greedy in their deck building. We
Right.
see people. Well, you're going to have a sideboard for
Super sealed.
super sealed, but when I see people clamoring for sideboards and everything, we have 22 more 22 more playable cards than other card games, and instead of people putting toolbox approach in it, a lot of people will just say, okay, 15 times 4, all in, and I'm gonna have auto losses in the matches that I have an auto loss. So it not for me at least, it not being like the very best at something, but being versatile is a little similar to a few of the cards you put in your last version of Blue Red, where you could see that those were being tech cards, but they were inkable, so it didn't matter too much if they were not like deplayable. But like that's not a 4 of in any deck, I don't think. But I see it like I see it a little bit similar to how you put that fish hook in your last item. Like not as big an impact in the matchups where it matters, but in a more aggressive Ember deck,
It does enough to be there.
yeah.
I want to segue into something because like when I came by earlier, I was like, I'm in a really nitpicky attitude tonight, and I want to nitpick against Steel in this set. I feel that they kind of went in a whole other direction than they went with other sets. They really based it around like discard and draw instead of like damage or big bodies, or it's not as character centric as it used to be.
I'm letting you talk, and as you're doing that, go ahead, continue.
Okay. So then I want to talk about Namaari first.
Oh no, that's not where I'm going.
No, this is the card. This is the exception that confirms my rule.
No, I know.
Like this is probably one of my favorite cards in this set, and I'm still mad that they didn't give it an enchanted. Like I love that card for like most of the implication of like really, I want to say cheesy and cheeky decks that you you can build with that. You just go with like I loved Return of Hercules.
I was about to say you've been trying to make fetch happen with Return of Hercules all last set, so
yeah, you have the other legendary Mickey from last set also that is really good. Is really good with that. You could have it in a shell, like we were talking about it when they spoiled that card with Ruby. You just Vitalisphere your Mickey and just eat something, drop the big one. It has kind of like the super grab your swords taped onto it. So
Yeah.
I think it's a fun card, and it is quite like the exception that confirms the rule. It's the only card that feels really OG Steel.
And let's be honest, if you drop that on set 3 by some miracle in Red Steel, your opponent's probably just extending the handshake at that point. Like, what your opponent's gonna do?
unless they
Unless they
have let
play
it go.
Mother's Knows Best.
Unless
No, I know. There's answers.
Mother knows
but
Into the
best.
unknown.
Bruno.
there are answers,
Be prepared.
obviously, but
What I also want to like mention that I like a lot about the card is the text line of the super grab your sword is not conditional like it was on Bagheera last set. It's like whenever it gets banished, you get the effect, which is like so much better.
yeah, because you can
Yeah.
trigger it on your own terms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you actually wanted to talk about Namaari.
Yeah, well, Namaari, like, it feels steelsy, but it's also so weird to see them going away from, like, Fortisphere, that was a really draw-centric card, I want to say. Like, it was a cantrip, and they said, like, oh, we want to let other colors, like, draw a lot of cards and whatnot. And then they go with this and Desperate Plan and Beyond the Horizon that are all, like, have to do with discarding and drawing cards.
Well, that's been Steel since day one. Like
It's all new.
Rummage, Tinkerbell, Simba, all Steel has been doing since the very beginning is draw this card, draw this card. So that's the most steal thing to me, at least.
I feel that you have to work for it to be like a good challenger, also to make it big enough to have a utility.
I mean, on turn 5, you usually have a few things in your discard.
Probably. I think it's
Well,
still
this by itself is a 2/5, right?
Yeah.
By the time that it can challenge, yeah.
yeah. I still like it. I think it's interesting design space. I don't know. I would probably have wanted more from a legendary, but maybe I'm asking for too much.
You know how it is with legendary steel cards. They're either great or trash. And this one is like a mid one. We haven't gotten a lot of those.
So I love that you just missed the quote on the person that said that. Alexander Taberna, 2024 and 25.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've been always saying that steel legendaries are so hit or miss, and now we got an okay one, and I'm complaining about it.
I think it's closer to great than okay, but yeah. Especially with the Desperate Plan and Beyond the Horizon, I do believe you're gonna have at least like 3-4 stats when you play this, unless maybe you play it on turn 5. But having a card that mid-late game against red, it's gonna have way too much power to be Brawl or Medusa, especially even if they have the Sapphire Coil, like it's gonna be so big that they cannot remove it with this item. I think this is an injury that's closer to being great than being average. And she does something when you play it, so that's also very good.
Yeah, I think it's very we must not like drawing and discarding every turn lets you really like get the good cards, right? And so all the 1s and 2s in your deck, but also as you were saying, like if you're playing Ducks and Desperate Plans and Beyond the Horizons and you get multiple of those, they're pretty bad, right? But then you can cycle them off of the Namaari. I think she fits within those cards a lot, like really well. And she's just a big unit, right? Like you're never gonna be concerned about locations.
That's what I
while
like.
Playing that.
That was my first thought with this card when I saw it is, well, that answers location. Like they're never putting down a Megduck Mana or anything when she's a 15/5 or something.
Yeah. And one thing I like also is if you play it with Amber. I played that deck before where you have like Chernobog and the other one, that with songs. What's its name again?
Kristoff?
Yeah. So if you have Chernobog and Kristoff with this card, like they will cost nothing, and you can always at each turn draw. And if you have a bunch of song or a bunch of character, keep the Chernobog or the Kristoff and play it for free. So I think it enables new deck from this card type of game plan. So.
And then someone's going to steal your list and play it, and play the Chernobog before challenging with Namaari, and the graveyard's the discard's empty.
Yeah, that would be a funny timing issue. Order issue.
Sequencing is key.
Might not be empty, but much smaller for sure.
Yeah.
And we've mentioned the card like quite a bit since the start of the video. Desperate Plans. I think it's like I like the card. I really like it. I've never been a big fan of Doc in general. I know I understand the use of the card in certain archetypes. I think this is a more serviceable and more versatile version of Doc, being an action and whatnot.
And the fact that you don't have to like if you have 2 in your hand, one of them is not dead. You can, if you have other cards.
It is. You really don't want to play this as a draw X, discard X, right? Like that's a -1 in your hand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But sometimes you're still stuck with your bad cards in your hand late game.
Yeah, I think that's why they went for for this design, right? Because it activates the looters, right? The withdraw discard, so that you don't get stuck with 2 Desperate Plan ever, because it's very bad. And at first, without Namaari and mine and those other looters, I would say I would never put more than 1 Desperate Plan in my deck, just because of that. But because you have Namaari and potentially the Simba from the set 1 and the Mulan, right, from a few sets ago, I think now you can talk about adding more than 1. I still think that Doc is a little bit better, but not by too much, but a little bit.
Yeah. Doc you can bounce in some way to play it again with green
Yeah.
or purple. I think like
It quests.
this card you need to play with some of those looters, or you need to play it maybe with Diablo to discard it anyway, or with blue to ink it. So yeah, it's a tricky
Yeah,
card.
Duck, you can play with the Emerald Coil and win set championships.
Yeah.
We're referring to one of our
Viewers,
viewers.
Ras.
Yeah, he is a big fan of everything Doc and Emerald Chromicon, but yeah, like
Emerald
it's a
Chromicon.
cute deck. Nothing like, yeah, it's a cute deck.
It won
Cute
two
thing that
sessions.
wanted him to set gems, so like it's been serviceable for him.
Yeah, fair enough.
As a deck that, so small small sidebar here now that I have you guys, because we've seen it a lot this season with how wide the meta was, where decks that would be usually, I don't want to say unplayable, but wouldn't win a lot of matchups, were able to benefit from the fact that no one could tech against everything, and you could bring something really fringe and no one was ready for you and just make your way to the top a lot easier than when it's a like 2-3 meta
Rock paper scissors.
yeah, rock paper scissors meta. So like I know we have someone who won with green steel discard, and he was like, "Well, I don't know why more people don't play that deck. The deck's so strong." Well, the deck's strong because you're the only one playing it. If everyone was playing it, the deck is
And no one was taking against
yeah,
it.
exactly.
Yeah.
So what did you think of? Well, I don't know, Sailor, if you did set champs, but you did do the 2K. Like, what did you feel about the like late season super wide meta that we got?
Yeah, I think it got people very excited about Lorcana again, which is a great thing, right? We had the second biggest tournament in Canada at Randolph at that 2K, right? Like when I remember entering the room and thinking, wow, this is packed. I thought it was going to be like a 45% people tournament, right? Or something like that. And it was 128. So for me, it was a very big plus for everyone, right? Outside of me crying for Hiram Bad, but no, I think it was good for the meta. I think it was very wide, and it made it really hard. One thing that I would say against it is in those metas is that it's really hard to predict the meta.
Yeah.
So you're much more susceptible to like the matchup lottery, where like there's so many decks that you might just come short on which one you're facing, because it's not as easy to predict what you're going to play because it's more varied.
Yeah, I saw this in my set gem, like the two finalists. One was Blurple and they avoided Ultrana Bugs and Steel Song. And the other one was the Green Steel that's a bit weak against red, and they avoid all red. And there was 3 red blue in the top 8. So, and me with red purple. So yeah, there's more matchup lottery for sure when there's too many decks.
Yeah.
But not to worry, next set is going to be just one deck, green steel discard.
Except for worlds where you can ban.
I don't think so, by the way.
No.
But I still think it has everything to be best deck in the format.
And what do you like? You just released. We've talked about it on stream. I've played it the last weekend that I did set championships. You released an updated version of Ruby Sapphire with a lot of items in it. The deck was performing fairly well against everything that wasn't hyper aggro.
Yep.
How do you feel like looking at the new set? Do you think the shell still has its place, or do you think it's immediately thrown to the side day one?
No, I don't think we got any new cards, right? We can talk about the Sapphire and Ruby cards, but I don't think they're great for
There's not much that benefit that deck, that's for sure.
No. So I would say it will depend on what's strong, right? Like if Emerald Steel push out all the aggro decks, then maybe. But even then, like the Beyond the Horizon seems pretty oppressive against the control decks, including the red-blue items as well. So I'm not too confident, but I would not discard it quite yet. I think it might have a place.
Yeah, because I know that apart from like very good Diablo starts, the deck fared fairly well against this card, because as long as you're able to put your workshop on 3, you're gonna get an item at some point and get the ball rolling again.
Every turn.
like I told you when we played against each other, like it still had vibes from Sisu on Ice. Like the deck is still similar enough.
But now they're gonna play Maui and banish all your items.
Yeah, let's talk about Maui.
Oh yeah, I love that card.
Let's go talk about Maui.
Talking about flexibility, it can do
Yeah.
anything. It banish all manners against the Sharknado version of Red Blue, and it banish all item against the items version. So it's like it can do anything against any deck.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's just
Also-
hard to banish it yourself if you need to, but
Yeah. Also I love like the grab your sword that gets around resist and like
Yeah.
other things. Like I just think the card's great. It's quite aggressive. Like you'll just like put it sideways every time you can, and like if someone removes it, you get utility out of it.
Yeah. I think the discard stuff is better, and I don't think he fits in discard. But I think post rotation, this is a massive card, right? As you said, like everything you just said about it, I completely agree. I just think that it's overshadowed by a better archetype in that color combo at the moment. And
Yeah, definitely. Like the kind of decks I like playing, like the green steel mid range big things. Like I would slam
it.
this like inside it, like in a heartbeat.
yeah,
at least it's
yeah.
inkable. So yeah, I agree that for the discard pile, like there's so many good cards to put, and you kind of run out of space. But being inkable,
Yeah.
I think it's a big key here. You can put maybe one or two, and that's enough for some of those matchup. Because the green steel discard also have problems with dealing with locations and items, so sometimes it can save you. But yeah, it's just the cost; it's a bit high.
Yeah, but with the new shift Pete and the chip, I think it's not as bad as it was before.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
When you say the new shift peak, you're talking about the one from
Space
Arcadia,
Spider.
right?
The previous
one's
set.
pretty
Yeah,
good.
yeah. I just think that the shift Pete is better than before because
sing.
it can sing beyond the horizon, but more importantly,
knows?
it can make your opponent not being able to sing beyond the horizon.
It's funny
The
how
meta
steel
is
is
really
the
going to
counter
be
to steel.
beyond the horizon dot meta.
Well, that's what I'm thinking about, right?
Also, like we were talking about Pete. Like, thank you for bringing it exactly on the card I wanted to talk.
That's where I wanted to go as well.
Yeah, like this is probably more of a post rotation kind of consideration with pirates, but
Yeah.
like the Captain Hook, I think is great. Like they're reprinting the Forceful Duelist as a one drop in this set, not even in Fable. Like right now to have a shift line for this guy, but like this and Pete Space Pirate gives so much like utility to your pirate characters that it's kind of great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
like
them.
right now, I don't see it overshadowing Robin Hood.
No,
Because like it's kind of the spot it takes, right? It's your one up drop into 3-drop that is kind of removal. It has like some shenanigans attached to it, but yeah, I'll still take Robin over this. But
Unless you're playing a Pirates deck. And I think
Yeah, unless
they're,
you're a Pirates,
they're
obviously.
not top tier yet, but they're getting good cards every set, so maybe soon.
They're
Maybe
getting
after
there.
rotation.
yeah, because like if you look what we had like especially in Azure Sea and Arcasia's Island, you have like I think you have a green steel smee. I don't remember what this does, but there's also like a super rare steel smee that kind of fireballs for the number of pirates you have, which is shift, so you can play the 2-drop smee. You know, like
I mean, just hook into Smee into hook is like a fairly aggressive start in terms of removal that protects your Smee. So no, there's definitely shenanigans to be made. It's too bad that all the good pirate locations are in red, are in ruby, and the Daisy Dog that draws when your pirates are on locations is in emerald.
And they didn't print any location for 2 sets.
Yeah, and they didn't print any locations for 2 sets.
I think they're waiting for a bodyguard for locations to print new location. That would make them playable.
Yeah, maybe they're trying to figure out. How
I mean,
to
some
make
of
it
them are pretty good.
overall.
High
I'm just-
HP Ilor.
I'm just
Yeah,
gonna address
exactly.
what some people have like talked about on some Facebook groups because they found this in the official Lorcana app, like the new card type.
That's for the Palace Heist.
Oh, the obstacle.
Yeah, obstacle is
Okay,
in the
I-
Palace Heist.
I was not in the loop about that.
Yeah.
So yeah. Okay. Cool. Moving on.
Moving on. I want to take a second because I was really excited to see Go-Go, well, both Go-Go's But specifically this one, it's an interesting removal to me. Well, first of all, is the first shift I think that's the same price as the actual cost of the card.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I kind of like this idea of, especially since if you play the small go-go, you keep the tempo that you give your opponent compared to a Let It Go or Hades.
Yeah.
Because when you shift on her, you also take your top card and put it into your ink, so you don't relatively ramp your opponent compared to yourself. But no, I thought this was a neat design. I don't see a shelf for her as of now, because
I think that's a testament of like what's to come. I think people have been starting to get excited about green blue, like with hero, like the shift matters, like the Floodborne.
Do you mean that hero or the other one?
The one that we had at the
Oh, yeah,
championship
yeah.
also. Like they have been working towards a green blue Floodborne Matters deck for like a few sets, and I think it's gonna be a lot better once we get freshened up with rotation.
Yeah, but now that Floodborne matters and shifting matters, you know what else matters? Errata Bucky.
They're not coming back on the decision.
No,
it's funny.
No. It's gonna get rotated out.
I
anyway,
know.
So you have to take jabs at Pierre-Marc for Hiram, and now you take jabs at me for Bucky.
Hey, I mean, you weren't there, but Pat and I last week, 2 weeks ago, at our local league, were given OG promo Buckies as like gifts for just being there.
Press
Really?
F to
Yeah,
pay.
they had leftovers, and they just went through the room and being like, "Here's your OG Bucky. Here's your OG Bucky."
Rest in peace.
Exactly.
I think the issue with this Emerald Sapphire archetype is that there's not too many card draw into it, right? That's maybe Clarabelle. It's pretty susceptible to be prepared.
You can play Diablo. It's a
like,
Floodborne.
Well,
yeah.
not many card draw. I understand. There was a card I included in here. It's the
removal.
Fred, the green Fred. It's right there.
No, the other one.
The giant size finds you cards, right?
Yeah. And it's
Yeah,
a
yeah,
guarantee.
Yeah.
Quests.
Yeah, you have to quest him, but it reveals cards until you find other Floodborn, so like it kind of advances your game plan. It's not card draw per se, but
Yeah, that's the thing, right? It's card draw that pushes you even more into trying to win the game. But what does it say about trying to stop your opponent from from actually winning the game before you do, right? That's kind of my concern with with those.
Fair
They
enough.
don't have
but
enough
when it
interaction.
comes to stopping your opponent, we're talking about Fred. We're talking about stopping your opponent. We got three drops that destroy items, that banish items in green this set.
hey, look, it's Benja. It's red, but it's not
Fred.
Benja.
It's pretty close to Benja.
It's just color
Bench
different.
Fred. Yeah.
But no, I'm serious. Not excited, but I find it interesting that we got 3 pieces of item removal. I think it's gonna make. We don't see talking about that to Sailor. We don't see a lot of items these days in the meta, but like it's interesting with how they try to push the red-blue item deck that ended up not going the way they expected. But with Tamatoa, with all of that, I find it interesting that they're giving more removal to that. Hopefully, we then get more location removal if we get more locations, because let's just say everyone needs a little bit of love in that department.
Surely, and like it kind of segues into something like you said, giving love, giving tools to everyone. You were talking to me about a red card that you really loved.
Which red card was that?
It's the action that adds reach to red.
Oh, yes. So, one of the things I really liked about the set, this with, I don't remember her name, but there's a card in, the Mirabelle in Ember. So, there's a Mirabelle in Ember that is a 1-drop that you can reveal a song when you play her to gain 1 lore. and now there's this most everyone's mad here, and they're kind of giving everyone a little bit of that late game reach that allows you to go or goat or like cheese out a win out of the blue. And I find it interesting because it's going to keep, I don't want to say people honest, but you're going to have to keep a lot more answers on your mind. I don't see everyone playing like most everyone's mad here.
It's 7.
It's 7, but like
uninkable. It's mostly the uninkable that kills this card, I think.
But you know how you were playing Dragonfire in the items deck? Like, this is, well, it's not valid in that deck because you don't put damage on anything. But if you're already running a Dragonfire in a deck that inks a lot, it's like, well, yeah, it's 2 more, but if you lore a lot and it's your, haha, gotcha moment, down the road I can see it. Not that one. I prefer the Mirabelle, to be honest, because the Mirabelle actually enables, you were talking about the Lilo being like, oh, if you have 3 in hand, you can put the 3 down. Well, if you whole new world into 3 Lilos at a song, you can Lilo into Lilo into Lilo, revealing the same song 3 times. 3 lore, game over in the late game, whole new world.
Is the Lilo or Mirabelle?
Mirabelle, I'm saying Lilo. Mirabelle into Mirabelle into Mirabelle.
We could actually show the card because I think it's this set. So it's
it is this set. It's one of the new ones. Back at the beginning of the... There we go.
Right there.
Baby Mirabelle.
So yeah, a 0/2 that just you can reveal a song card from your hand to gain a lore. This is pretty straightforward. It's interesting. I
mean, the amount of times in Steel Song that you're ending up at, like, just...
19?
18 or 19, and your opponent controls everything you play, and you're stuck with a whole new world in your hand, and nothing seems to work, and you draw your freaking 1-drop that doesn't do anything. This is... To me, this is interesting, and if you want to take Steel Song and make it both the song matchup and the aggro matchup that sometimes people try to do with the Daisy, well, if you, like, turn 1, Cinderella, turn 2, Mirabelle, sing with Cinderella, you're developing an aggressive board with gaining 2 lore on the, like, while playing it, removing something from your opponent. I feel the card has some flexibility to close out those games where Steel Song just wasn't aggro enough.
The fact that it's inkable also
Yeah.
kind of closes a gap. Like, if you don't have to play Daisy, it gives you space for Beyond the Horizon, let's say.
Yeah.
So,
And it puts bodies on the ground. It's 0/2s. They're not going to do much,
This
but
one,
they're still
this one might
a
be
wider
better.
board if you're playing against Burple.
it brings us back to the days where we were playing Flute.
Yeah.
You know,
It's almost a flute.
back then we had
One-time
ways
use.
to cheese on lore in the later stages of the game, which now we didn't have in Ember really.
Well, no one's playing Out in the Dale or Peppa Madrigal.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I feel like this one might be better also in Emerald Amber because you can bounce with Muse and you have a lot of songs in the
Oh,
deck.
true.
It's easier to
Yeah,
make
that's
that.
true.
You
In Ember
just
Emerald, you
quest
can
with it
definitely-
and then you bounce it so it doesn't get banished and then you can play it again and you have like thousands of songs to reveal. So maybe
Okay,
some burst
yeah.
there.
Yeah. No, I can see some brews with that.
And for the red card before that, I think what makes it playable is the fact that you can choose your own character, which doesn't sound good, right, to banish your own character, but if it's the finisher, it's usually much easier to put damage on your own
Yeah.
than the opponent. So, or even like you can do it in one turn with the Mother Gottle at 9 ink, you can just put in banish and do 3 lore. So having the possibility to choose your own character, I think it's very important for that card.
And it's actually a theme in red since
Yeah.
set 5 to have your own characters damaged and
Yeah.
like doing shenanigans with
Well,
that.
since set 2, really.
Yeah, sure.
Titan Ambitions.
Yeah. Speaking of that, I think we got like one of the best removal in the set. Maybe not pre-rotation, but I think post-rotation, if we don't get all the good ones, this could be like one of the best one. And it's
I
everybody's got
think I know which one you're
weakness.
talking about.
Yeah, in Amethyst.
Is it Into the Unknown or is it Monster?
No, it's everybody's got a weakness.
Oh, everybody's got a weakness. Yes,
Yeah,
sorry.
this one is pretty cool.
There we go.
So this one, if you have multiple characters, even like 2, 3, right, with damage on them, you remove the damage, right? Get it onto something else, take out something, and draw 3 cards. That's like a very, very big thing, right? Because it costs 1 less than Finders Keepers, but also potentially could be better. Obviously, against controlled Finders Keepers is going to be better because they're not just gonna have damage on your character or your opponents, right? Not gonna have much target for this, but I think in a more heavy challenge, right, meta. I'm not saying we're there yet, but maybe in post rotation,
What we've seen
this
in the
card
like,
is very, very powerful. In my
yeah, what
opinion.
we've seen in the last few sets, they're definitely not pushing heavy damage removal and character removal in the
Nope.
sets. So, and we're seeing the rise of, well, the rise, not in competitive, but of the Red Steel challenge with Mulan, Mushu, all of that thrown in the mix.
Yeah.
So they definitely want people to challenge a little more than they do.
I mean,
Now-
they also
now I'm
made
excited.
another card that costs 3. Maybe you can go there afterward. But works
Which
pretty well.
one?
There's a 3-drop in Ruby now that works very well with this card. It's called Prince John, and it kind of damages itself, and it comes on turn 3. So you just put Prince John on turn 3. If they play one single character, it's enough. Then on turn 4, you can play the Desperate Plan and get a draw and a damage. If you don't have other like Model God or something that you put previously. So I feel like the curve here is quite nice. You can heal up Prince John and draw and deal damage. So yeah.
This card pairs very well with Ember because of what you said, right? Like Rapunzel. And most importantly, it enables 2 Ruby cards, right? Flynn, right? Flynn into this is like, yeah, you're getting your Flynn triggers every time, right?
Tinkerbell, right?
And then it also adds consistency of finding your 3-drops because before you only had Sisu that you could play that would activate the Flynn. Now this is another one, but also it activates the new Tinkerbell, which is the card next, I think, or well,
Yeah,
close
we
to it.
saw it in a
Right
second.
next to it.
There it is.
Yeah, yeah. So this one is like a 1/1 evasive, and whenever you play 5 or more, right? So there's this team of like having 5 strength or more and being rewarded for it, like the Maximus that we had a few sets ago. So this fits into that, but the fact that now you can have like 2 different 5 strength on 3 makes this potentially maybe like as a redundant Flynn, right? So you can play 4 of this, 4 of Flynn, 4 Sisu, 4 Prince John, and now you have a very reliable turn 2, turn 3 lore generator, but also the 5/5 Prince John is gonna brawl, right? So it's a nice combination of like gaining lore, but also fighting the board.
Yeah, it's a really commending board presence you're gonna get with like your big 3-drops and your 2-drop enablers that just passively gain you lore.
Yeah, and that's kind of the thing that we were missing in all of these strategies, right? Like, well, in Ember not so much, because we had a lot of self-damage characters that comes into play, like the Mother Gothel and stuff.
Yeah.
But like in the Ruby, we were like, okay, if this character has damage, blah blah blah, with Amethyst, and then with Sapphire, we're like, okay, if you heal, do this and this, right? So I feel like this Prince John is just like the glue that puts all of those teams together.
Yeah, maybe he's gonna make the new, well, not the new, but the Baymax from,
Set number 6.
yeah, from Sale, actually more rewarding in red blue. Not in the current shells, obviously.
It's time
Like,
for
he
Paddy
still
to
get-
shine.
Grand Paddy.
Grand
Drop at
Paddy.
me! Oh, I know someone who's gonna try to make that work.
Yeah.
One last time before rotation.
And when I was looking at that card, this is for me. It's like the Lilo. You build a deck around it.
Yeah.
You want to have a lot of 5 attack character. You can also play Lumiere to make it work with 4 attack, but I don't think it's as good as self-working cards. But I was looking at the 5 attack card, and I think the Genie legendary from set 5 might see play because when it's exerted, the opponent cannot ready their character at the start of their turn, and
The
being
legendary
able to
one?
put it this exerted directly, it means it does its effect on play, which is so much better than if you have like one turn and you need to quest and everyone readies up. So yeah,
Yeah, that's
I don't
really
even know what you're talking
yeah,
about. Pat.
Genie main attraction, it's pretty strong with Tinkerbell. If you can make it work.
I didn't think
frees
about that,
the-
but yeah.
Wow.
It freezes the board, and then you can play Elsa to freeze more stuff. And if they cannot remove it, it just freezes forever. This
Okay,
That's
okay.
funny.
it's funny how
That's-
a bad legendary
It's a
becomes
7
good.
cost on Inkable,
Yeah.
unfortunately, right? But
Wait. We actually, I'm gonna take us back to a review that we were all in the same like chat room doing the review and saying like, oh, if we can get this genie to be exerted when he comes in, it would be a decent card.
It's the only way right now. Because there's an Elsa, the exert character at 3, but it's only opponent, so being able to exert your own character is very strong for cards like these.
Yeah, there was Hydros that could do it. Like there's,
Or-
we
yeah.
found two ways to do it when we were building with my son for Illuminator's Quest.
Can give it
Because
rush.
there were actually ways to cheese Ursula pretty bad by being able to exert your opponent the turn they came in because of how the mechanics were
Right.
built.
So yeah, I feel like Tinkerbell and Genie is quite nice because you get 2 lore in the
Yeah.
effect, and it's probably more reliable than giving it rush because then you need a target to attack, and if the target is
Yeah.
too big, your Genie dies. So just exerting it with Tinkerbell, getting 2 lore and freeze the board. Maybe I'm gonna have
Love it.
like a Hearthstone
You're cooking, Patrick. I love it.
or Hearthstone.
Chef Pat.
I remember playing Frost Mage in Hearthstone, and that gave me that vibe, just freezing everything every turn and questing. Just put a bodyguard
Awesome.
with it, and then GG. I mean, there's no bodyguard in red purple, but
If you arrive with that in your triple constructed in the worlds where
I'm gonna go.
Went off.
that's the kind of combo that makes the crowd go wild, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Yeah. And then you're facing Chernobog, and you don't live. You
you
don't
do
live.
nothing.
You just don't get to live that day.
No, but he can face he can dodge Chernobog. He can say like you don't play Chernobog.
Sure, you're right.
All right, we were talking about red steel things, and like, I want to address that. Like we have two new cards for red steel. First, we can go with the Mulan, which is just like a keyword soup. I want to say, you know.
Yeah, fair enough.
So like it's good removal for evasive. It's reckless. It challenges. It's kind of a Mulan theme now because we had the Li Shang from last set that also challenged ready characters,
And the Mulan, when she banished someone, all your characters could do that as well.
which is red steel.
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah.
like it's a very dual color red steel thing right now to do that. So we do not have to spend a lot of time on that one. But like,
Yeah, but I just want to say this is the first character that we get reckless, but also can challenge ready characters. So
Yeah.
this always challenge, right? Like there's
Yeah.
no way it doesn't unless your opponent has 0.
Or you sing with her, or like there's shenanigans, but yes.
Yeah, so I think that's one of its biggest weakness, right? If your opponent only has Maui, right? They're like, oh, I need to challenge your unexerted 6/5 and just lose my character, and because it's uninkable and
She can do
and
that
yeah,
to the shark as
I
well,
really
she's
hate
evasive.
that this card doesn't let you choose what you do with it, right? So as like a competitive player, I would never put that card in my deck.
No. I think it's more cute than whatnot. The real card we want to talk about is like this, the Mushu, which I think has one flaw on the card that I'm not sure about. The fact that it gives reckless.
I'm pretty sure it's on purpose.
Probably. Like because it gives rush and reckless, which you'll always have to challenge
Yep.
on the turn you.
And evasive.
Yeah. So, you know,
this is another card where you don't get to choose much when you win.
I mean, you get to choose not to play the character if you don't want to.
Sure, but how do you win then?
I mean,
okay, it's not the Mushu from last set, which is definitely bonkers.
Yeah.
So
the
that's
small
the thing.
Mushu's probably better.
I'm pretty sure. Like to me, if you're playing this card, there's no character that you really don't want to play. Like if anything, you're gonna have the was it Prince Philip, Prince Eric? Which prince was it from? The one that when he's banished, you banish a character.
Prince Eric,
Prince Eric?
the Master Houndsman.
Yeah, because like that's the kind of things you want to put into like a deck with that Mushu. You want to put the Prince Eric
Right.
that
Ooh,
sure he's
that's
gonna
very
be
good.
forced to rush into something you don't really care. He's gonna die and remove something. He's gonna be banished and remove something else.
It's a double removal.
Yeah.
Potentially, if the 2/2 is
Yeah, it's not great.
can take
but-
out something. Yeah.
That's why you play the other Mushu that gives him. Oh no, it wasn't resist. It wasn't a buff in the.
Oh, it gives challenger.
Yeah, it gives challenger, right?
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
Challenger.
No, it gives resist 2 and gain 2 lore
Yeah.
if you
Oh,
banish
no,
something.
it's not challenger.
Yeah,
you're right.
exactly. It's not challenger.
What
It's
gave,
resist.
what gave challenger? Like I remember in that deck something gave challenger. Whatever.
Anyways,
One last hope.
well, yeah.
You were playing One Last Hope. I didn't
was.
put it in the deck.
I was playing One
Okay.
Last Hope and 2 copies of Fan the Flames for the Shark.
Yeah. Just combo.
Yeah, because then you could combo on the Shark and just challenge the board and win lore at the same time.
Yep, that's fine.
One of the most satisfying things to do.
I still don't think this is an archetype.
Oh no, it's not.
No.
Yeah.
It's not there, but it was fun to do early season when people were just playing
Experimenting.
blue steel and nothing else, and you wanted to.
That's the thing.
Branch out.
That's why it didn't catch on because like it was so abysmal against Blue Steel.
It was terrible.
I mean, yeah. And Ruby Sapphire as well, right? Like you're
Yeah.
never exerting character. You're barely putting anything into play.
But
Your
it's
opponent is
trash
like,
of
okay,
Trinidad.
what can I challenge?
Oh, it was it was ripping on Chernadog.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, there's that.
Anyway,
Anyway, do we have? Oh well, the card that changed the day after it was released. The card that
Got
got
pre-nerfed.
hype.
Oh, Patrick, you don't know about that?
No, I haven't seen the
So-
version.
Okay, so when it was first revealed, it was only questing for 1, but it had ward.
it was ward evasive.
Ward evasive, like it was very, very like I was like, okay, I'm not sure about the ability, but evasive ward is something.
I haven't
And
seen
it also it was really well statted against Genie as well, right? But without ward, I just don't think that's a good card.
It came
I'm
from
gonna try to
like the
make it
best
work
to
regardless.
the average.
Yeah.
I bought a
we were
copy
so
of,
back. We
Royal
were so
Central
back
Thing.
for like 12 hours, and then it was revealed that it didn't have word, and we're like, okay, no, we're not back. Never mind.
I mean, I still bought a Royal Tantrum in that 12-hour window, so like I'll try to make it work once.
Yeah,
Because
that's
the
the
thing
combo.
that people had seen when it had ward and basically was guaranteed to work at least once was you put a bunch of items, you put Lumiere, the turn after you Royal Tantrum all your items, draw a bunch of cards, quest for 1 million, and then just go from there.
Cards, yeah.
But-
And do it again because it had ward and evasive, right?
Yeah. And you just refilled your head with 1 cost items.
Yeah, I know, right? There was definitely something to be to look at there, but now, like, if your opponent is playing removal, which everyone
Yeah,
is,
if
right?
your opponent's
like,
in steel, it's like, okay, I play this, okay, it's dead. Your
yeah,
turn.
that's yeah.
Elsa is coming for it.
And there's if there's not that many self banish items outside of popsicles, so it's not like you can easily trigger it too, right? Like there's Bell that does it, and then there's popsicle. And,
Yeah, without like something like Royal Tantrum, you don't have a lot of.
no,
You're gonna need to use your. No, wardrobe is discard. It's not even banished.
no, yeah, that's the issue with the wardrobe, right? You're discarding it instead of banishing it.
Monsieur Dark. It's gotta be Monsieur Dark. Please don't put Monsieur Dark in competitive. That card's so bad.
Were there any other cards where someone wanted to like?
I know you put the Raya in, and I was curious because to me it's a pretty medium card, and I was curious why you wanted it there.
I was just excited for the fact that it's kind of the problem is to pay. That is like the to pay to be able to ready another character. I felt it was reminiscent of Beast Relentless from set 2.
Yep.
The only problem now is that you cannot actually machine gun stuff with her like you did with Beast. Like with Beast, you were just like, oh, I have like 3 strength or let the Storm Rage on. You were just like puck, and then just like questing with it, or just having other people singing or challenging, and you could have humongous turns with that. But I felt it was reminiscent enough that, like, I didn't know how much the paying two ink to ready stuff was gonna affect, but like thinking about it, I was like, yeah, no, that's enormous.
To me, it's not so much the cost as the pay 6, do nothing, wait a turn for it to be able to do something.
I'll need to get Zeused.
Yeah,
That's right. That's right.
like
I actually played against that card in testing. I was playing Amber Steel with the Beyond the Horizon, and yeah, they played that. I Zeused it every time, and it didn't do anything.
Were they
right?
using
Like,
it in
was,
green blue at least?
Yes.
I mean, you can
yes.
put it
So
war.
they wanted to have like the Mufasa, right? Play this on top of the Mufasa. You know, there was all these bunch of things that were really cool. If your opponent
Doesn't do anything.
Does
is not
nothing.
looking at your board, but this is not what TCGs are about, right?
No.
Like you have someone in front of you that is trying to stop you, right?
You just need
now-
two of them on the board and 12 inks and GG, right?
yeah.
Yeah, exactly, right. Yeah. If you have both of them, they both survived for like 2 turns, right? Because like you need to play the first one and then like keep
But-
it unexerted, hope that the second also
Since
survives.
steel
and then go on.
is probably going to be very much played, what if you play Cogsworth on turn 5 and this on 6? Now the Zeus doesn't work. Could live at least one turn.
At least one.
it's a good curve.
It's on curve.
It's a lot of work for
Radiating one character one time. Yeah,
Yes.
that character better quest for 1,000,000.
A billion, yeah. That's why the Mufasa, right? Like you want to do some pretty big thing.
Right.
Yeah. I just want to finish up on a card that's got someone who's not around the table excited, but that's got him so excited in brewing that he's brewed for the past week, basically. And Pat, I've already told you about this, but back in set 2, my son was a big fan of having his Tiana Bodyguard deck that just prevented people from playing actions.
Yeah.
And when they revealed Bogo, he was like, okay, that's it. I'm resurrecting Tiana Bodyguard. Shutting down actions, having the bodyguards that when they die, they Mufasa into stuff. And I haven't seen him that happy in a long time, but also I think this might be the thing that makes Bodyguard not good, not tier 1, but actually playable.
relevant.
Yeah.
Relevant at least.
I think they really missed the mark by putting it 6 costs.
Yeah.
Because then your chief bogos are bad with each other. So
So you want to know the
yeah.
thing that genuinely made us sad when we realized it about this card?
The last sentence, right? That makes me sad, I mean.
Not even that.
Oh.
They banned Fortisphere. It's the first time Fortisphere would have been able to do something by giving Bodyguard to Chief Bogo
There's a
You
song
could
in Ember
protect
that
him
does
himself.
Yeah, he has a point. There's a song for it now.
Yeah, there's a song for it.
Yeah, but my problem with this card
good
is that you need to put a lot of bodyguard, and usually when you have a lot, it's like having none because they can choose anyone. But then the good thing about
Yeah.
having a lot is that it triggers Chief Buggles a lot. But the problem is the otherwise put it on top of your deck. So as soon as one miss, all the other will miss. So it's very
Yeah.
bad. You can do a B prep on the board with a lot of
That's,
bodyguards.
that's
and,
why he wants to play it in
I-
the Tiana Chal, right?
yeah,
'Cause
you need to have
if you're able to lock the
actions.
actions,
and you need like all your cards to be character 5 costs or less. With like you can put Mufasa if you want,
Yeah.
but you don't want to miss because as soon as you miss, every single bodyguard miss.
yeah, every single bodyguard's gonna miss after that. Now, I don't think the card is like perfect, but I was super happy for him to see him like genuinely excited about brewing
Oh, yeah.
something, and I'm curious to see how it's gonna fare because
The art is very cool too.
yeah.
He's a cool
I like
card.
that.
The art is super cool. I'm kind of sad. They released the full art for this card when they revealed it,
Yeah.
and we don't get to see it ever. Like, there's traffic cones at the bottom. There's a lot in that art that we don't get to enjoy.
Yeah,
Maybe a
that's true.
play
This would have
mat
been
in
a
the
good
future.
epic.
There's another Ember cards that I want to talk about.
Oh, go ahead.
In fact, yeah, the Donald Duck coin collector.
Yeah.
You're wondering why it was there.
Weird,
So
very
this card,
curious.
this card has an infinite combo now.
Does it?
Hello?
Yep. So you play Monstro.
The purple one?
Yep. And then
That one?
yeah. So yeah, so that card is really good on its own, right? So you
Oh.
can it's a 6/8 that rush, and you can choose and discard a card to ready this, right? And so if you play this, and on the following turn you play the Donald Duck, this gets draw a card, tap draw a card, untap discard a card, tap draw a card, right? So you can draw your old deck with these two cards. And so the combo is to do that, draw your whole deck to 0, and then you have in hand you want to have
We know the way.
we know the way and loop it.
Yes!
We loop it right every time with another we know the way and an Alan A. Dale in play. That every time you have a song that is being played, you gain a lore.
Now I'm so happy about it. Yes!
And so you can play 0 to hero in that deck. You can play Gaston that reduces the cost of a character by 2. You can, I've brewed a version of it. It's really fun. I don't think it's competitive
No,
because
but
you need to get to
I
8,
love the
have the
idea.
monster survive, and then play another 8-drop character. But then it's like guaranteed. And then there's also an alternative win con. If your opponent plays P, right? You say, haha, you're not gonna play We Know the Way. You can do it with Chernobog and play all your Chernobogs, right? Play your Chernobogs, get 10 characters, play it for free, and then recycle your whole deck again, put again 10 characters until you find the other Chernobogs. Do it again with your second one, and then find the third, do it again, find the fourth, do it again, and then suddenly you have like 4 Chernobogs in play if they played Pete, right? And that's also fun.
You made my evening talking about that.
That's the mad scientist thing that.
You made my evening. Like I spoke about Alan and Dale, We Know the Way, back in set 5, I think they
Yeah.
came out. And like people were like, "Oh, that's cute, cool. Now shut up."
Now I got my thumbnail. Like the thumbnail's gonna be Donald Duck with "This card is cracked" or something.
Well, you can say infinite combo
Yeah,
because
exactly.
it is.
I love that.
So you don't need the nephew's piggy bank. They build it so that you have to you can cheat this out,
Yeah.
but it doesn't do anything because you need to also cheat out the Monstro. So like it's not worth it. You would rather play other rare cards
characters
that
that-
also helps you play the Monstro, right? So the Yui that we didn't talk about, right? But
Let me get to it.
it's basically a Pluto, but that costs 2 and has better
That
stats,
survives.
right? And that survives, yes.
Survives.
And you play the Gaston, right, from a couple sets ago that reduced by 2. You can play Doc. You can play Art of Atlantis. You can play Lantern, right? Like you have a lot of options, but obviously you don't play all of them. But you cheat
The
out.
mad scientist, he's done it. Because I was expecting Monstro, because everyone's seeing it in Blurple, right? Oh,
Yeah.
Monstro in Blurple, it's gonna be Scar, it's gonna be amazing. Everyone's gonna see it coming from a mile away and not exert their characters.
You were talking about art. I don't know if we have other cards from the regular set to mention.
I don't. We've already talked quite a bit, but I know where you want to go. You want to go to the Enchanted.
Yeah, I already mentioned in our last stream that I was like, disappointed by the choice of the Enchanted, but the art is so amazing on them. So we can just
yeah.
like have a quick scroll around them and talk about this.
Yeah, I'm not that disappointed. Like I think the only one I'd be disappointed in getting is the sword, but
Sure.
the other ones, like they
I love
might
the
not
art.
be super playable, but I think they're all like definitely
Fantastic.
yeah, and definitely chaseable enough even just for their presentation in itself.
Yeah, and I'm talking only as a really me thing, because like every set there was like one Enchanted I really wanted, and I was like, I'm getting this day one, whatever. I don't mind paying extra even if it goes down. And
This one's so good.
yeah, and like there's none of them that excite me that much that I want to get them on day one.
Meanwhile, we have 4 in this house.
Yeah, I know.
We have this one because big Emperor's New Groove fans.
This one is really pretty.
That's gonna have the princess tax on it. Like that's gonna be super expensive. We haven't talked about the card much. I personally think it's a good removal for Blurple. They have ways to exert characters. They have ways to do shenanigans.
It's small. Let it go, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's gonna depend. Like, my issue with it is that you would rather probably use your 3 cost character to take out set characters instead of just using this. So I would rather use Let It Go, but I think post rotation this gets better potentially.
I wonder, like, because you don't want to give ink to the opponent on turn 2 with like Bell singing this or anything.
No.
Yeah, no, you don't want to do that early.
So like 80s and Let It Go is better because they come late and it works for ready characters. So I wonder if Into the Unknown is gonna be synced, not more often, but it's still like quite some times on your own character to ramp faster. So you can play Bell on turn 1 and on turn 2 she just goes into your own ink to double ramp with Tipo and Bell singing this. So maybe that's more of a play. If you go Bell on turn 1 because you don't know what you're playing against, and then you see it's red blue, oh, let me ink my Bell. I'm not gonna need it. It's not an aggro deck.
Yeah.
It costs 2 cards to ink 1, but it ramps fast. So I don't know.
Just like Tipo.
And my biggest gripe was like I've been heralding for like a few sets now that Into the Unknown should have been like a blue Wrath, like that just puts everything in the inkwell, like that costs like a bajillion and singable and puts everything in the inkwell, and now they've just made another Let It Go into it. This is my disappointment with it, but it's super pretty and
yeah, it's pretty. Yeah.
The Rapunzel, I know, has got people really excited about the art.
Yeah, it's cool.
That hook, like that hook pairs super well with the giant fairy.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah,
They're
that's
both
true.
giant
That's
compared
cool.
to the shit.
Yeah, they. Like I'm getting that one day one.
This one's super playable, right? As we've seen. So.
I didn't want it to be playable. I wanted it to be cheap.
Oh. Sorry.
It's
So
an
I might
action.
have
Might
to
help.
hope no one sees that it's playable and to be able to get it cheap early before you guys actually break it.
We just spoke about it. Now people are gonna get hyped about it.
Market influencers don't watch our videos. We're fine. And then the Lilo and Stitch, like the girlfriend's a big fan of Lilo and Stitch, and when she saw the art for the,
This one's super pretty. I'm happy that the card is probably not gonna be that good because like maybe that's the one I'm gonna get.
That's a 2-for-1 too. You get 2 enchanted in 1. You get a Cricky and a Mushu.
Sure.
When they're gonna do team ups like Pokemon, right?
I don't actually hate the sword. I think the sword is nice.
The art is nice, but it's like the least exciting. I got the diamond last set because I really like the art, so
Yeah.
I'm not against getting them.
So
This might be my favorite one though.
So with
It looks
with
pretty.
your reasoning, like this is a 4 enchanted in 1 because there's 4 Stitch in there. Yeah, but to me this is probably the most beautiful one, but the least playable
I'm
one.
not paying for that one. It's fine.
I really don't like this card as an ability.
Yeah, it's very
Yeah, I
bad.
don't think the card is going to be that playable, but the art, it's like
Yeah,
it's
for
as
sure.
Stitch as
Yeah.
it gets.
The only
That's not even my favorite. My favorite has not yet be shown.
okay.
2.
Let's keep going.
That's it. That's the one.
That's the first one they spoiled. It is. It's gorgeous.
I really like the sand effect.
Yeah.
Right? It's gonna look really nice in foil. I think.
It feels really like, I know the theme is Jafar, so there's a lot of sand. There's a lot of
Aladdin-esque.
Aladdin-esque, Arabian Night-esque theme to it. But she feels, to me at least, she feels a lot more North African, like Moroccan and all of that, than a lot of the other Jasmines we've had so far. And yeah, that art is gorgeous. The Illusion Raja is just...
Yeah.
And we didn't talk about the card, but I think it's actually playable. Like you can
Yeah, it's pretty
shift
good,
it on
right?
turn 2, and then it sings a bunch of stuff. Like you can sing.
Because we
the-
have a one drop Jasmine,
yeah, yeah.
right?
There's
Blue one.
1 or 2. Yeah, there's at least one.
I
That,
think
2.
Quest for 2? Is that the one? No.
there's
the
a 1 drop
2
that
drop
came
Quest for
in
2
now.
No, it's a one drop. It's a
Yeah,
1/3 vanilla.
from the early sets.
Yeah. This one.
Yeah, I think the issue mostly is the allies, right? Like there's good ones like Cogsworth and stuff, but
Miss
I just don't
Bianca.
think there's not there. I just don't think there's
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 Tipo.
enough of them that are good, right, or great. I should say. Like Doc Cogsworth are the ones that you would play.
In Steel
In
Song,
that
when you
deck,
play
right? Maybe
Bianca, you
Chimpo.
have the Daisy and the Troubadour, but they're both in Ember, so they're not available
That
here.
doesn't work, right?
Tipo is
This
good,
has to be paired
but-
with blue.
Oh, Tipo's an ally, okay.
Yeah. Well, but you really want to get Tipo? That's pink, right? That's fine. But like Smee, Lawrence, there's cards, right?
Yeah.
But it's just lacking a little bit, I think.
We need to talk about this card post rotation though.
Is the
Yeah.
Pluto bodyguard an ally?
Probably.
Might be.
Probably, right?
I'm just gonna look it up real quick because
Yes.
if
Yes.
Yes? Okay.
I have
Yes,
it.
all right.
Yeah. Tinkerbell, Giant
Yeah,
Fairy.
Giant
Oh,
Fairy
okay,
is,
now that's exciting. That's exciting.
Yeah.
And we know she's coming back, so
Yeah, we know she's coming back. She's gonna have the pretty treatment in the collector starter set, whatever they called it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's gonna be the gift gimmick for the set 9. But yeah, no, and with that out of the way, I have the formats for there. We talked a little bit at the beginning about you guys' opinion on the formats for the world, but how do you see Worlds? Like, it's a month from now when we're filming this. It's quite literally a month from now.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, we want to hear from you guys. We haven't really talked since they made the announcements. How are you seeing all of this? How are you preparing for it? That you can share, obviously. We don't want you to...
Don't spoil.
Don't spoil.
Yeah. Oh, I'm preparing like I would say 30 to 40 hours a week, and thinking about it almost every time I'm awake. It's a very challenging format, right? Like we need to master a lot of different things. We need to think about a lot of different things. It's right, trying to predict what our other competitors will do, how we want to approach that, right? Proactively, reactively. It's a lot of preparation needed. There's it's gonna be, I think, good watch. There's potential for some weird things happening, in my opinion, like for this format to be supposed to be open, but maybe not that open, right? Like it's really on us to try to break the format. And if somebody does, then it could lead to a viewer experience that is not as great as it could be. But I think the intention is certainly there for a great entertainment, right? And I think we can say that whatever happens, Patrick and I are very, very, very much grateful for being able to play right at that event. And whatever happens, I'll be able to right. We're so lucky to get to be there, but also even if I go 0-5 drop, right? Like I'll be happy.
You don't drop.
That
You keep playing.
yeah, whatever it is, but you know what I mean, right? Like even if we scrub out, I think it will be a great event, and it will be all worth it. So I'm excited for it.
And the thing is, it's at our like Walt Disney World Orlando. So for myself, I did book some few days afterwards to, if everything goes well, to celebrate, or if everything goes wrong, like to think about something else and have fun with the family. So I think it's a win-win situation for that.
Absolutely.
And
It definitely is.
yeah, and the challenge for this format is the fact that we have a ban. So even if there's like big tournament with like Reign of Jafar during the June month before Worlds, it cannot be exactly the same meta as World, because you cannot build a deck that's weak, like 3 deck that weaks to one color and ban that color in those tournaments. I think there's one that might be doing it, but like it's not gonna be the normal format. So this changed the deck building a lot, where you're gonna be able to ban. And for sure, if you go to finals, you won't ban, but you already win. Like going to the finals, it's a pretty big win. So it doesn't matter, and the other opponent cannot ban anyway. So you're both stuck with your 3 decks. So yeah, I think that changed the deck building strategies a lot, and that what's make it more complex. It's not just like pick the best 3 deck. You need to make sure the lineup works.
I genuinely hope that the meta is still workable enough and wide enough that we see like all 15 or probably not all 15, but like at least a good variety. Because when they first announced it, I was like, okay, so you run red, blue,
Steel
Turtle
Sun.
Dog, and purple steel, and yep, that's that. Like my mind just went there, and it was like, well, it's an easy like 3-deck fit.
I spoke with Kevin about it because like he saw the announcement. He was like, yeah, like that format existed in Hearthstone, and played
Conquest.
like he played Hearthstone professionally. Like he played a whole lot of, I think it's the Conquest format or
Yes.
something, and like he said, yeah, obviously there was like an MVP lineup, like the most broken lineup you could go, but also there was like one or two lineups that were attacking this really proactively, that the MVP lineup was weak to. So there's a lot of strategy going into this of like what you want to bring. I don't think like probably there's gonna be one that's stronger than the others or maybe more popular, but I don't think there's gonna be like a very like make all break all
Yeah.
lineup that you guys will all be bringing to the table. It's gonna be the same all arounds.
I think that would be
Yeah, I doubt
like
it.
the only failure that could really happen to the world is if something like that happened. I'm hopeful it won't though.
Yeah.
So
And without divulging too much, do you expect people to just come in front of you and be like, "Yeah, no, red, blue"?
I have no idea. I think it's strategy, right? You can either do that or bring a trio and ban the color that you've built, ignoring,
Yeah.
right? So
I'm curious to see.
I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know what we'll do.
No, exactly. You're
obviously.
not in their head, but
Yeah.
there were definitely some thoughts when they announced it about the players who have specialized in one color pairing, like you, like DKP.
yeah, people were all joking about like, oh, I'm sitting in front of DKP at Worlds, and you just say like, no blue red, no blue red, no blue red.
I mean, specifically him, right? Because he absolutely never played anything else. But as you've seen, I've tried to diversify
yeah.
myself in the last few months in preparation for this, right? Because I knew that potentially I could not bring red blue, but eventually, like I could still bring it, but I need to also be better
Yes,
also be
they're
good
they're
at the
really
other
looking
decks.
for the most well-rounded.
They said it
Yep.
in the announcement, like they wanted a master Illumineer.
Especially with having a seal format in there, like they really
Yeah.
want to make
Yeah.
sure all skills are put to the test. So.
I'm really curious
And
to
a bit
see
of luck.
how that's gonna fare. 16 packs is a lot, but it's a 3-color deck, so the pulls are gonna be relevant. I don't know if you guys are gonna go dig back into like what made the sealed formats of each set relevant for which cards were.
Oh, definitely, right?
Yeah.
you can bet on it. I think it's I think both these formats are very hard to replicate on your at like regular events. I think the conquest format, right, like the three decks format is very very taxing in terms of like strategy and approach and how to deck builds, right? It takes a lot of time. So for me, I don't see these formats really being played outside of very dedicated events like Worlds, and specifically the Super Sealed format, which costs like $100.
Yeah,
right?
well,
Like,
we're looking at making one happen locally here,
week,
but where
probably.
we provide people with basically what their list is going to be, so they can bring the cards and build it. Like they're not going to have the 1 hour time limit. We're going to give them, oh, this is your pool of cards that has been randomly selected by 4 packs of each. Take the cards you have at home, bring proxies, do whatever you want. But I know there's been a shown of interest locally to try the format before
That's
Worlds
awesome.
to see like,
Yeah, for
what
sure.
it feels like.
And also like, without spoiling too much, if it doesn't happen next week, but
Oh no, that's what we're doing. Like
next week we are gonna do it.
our stream next week is going to be a super sealed.
Nice.
So we're going to have my son prepare us 12 decks from the previous sets and bring in 4 decks. So we're going to be blind with 16 packs each, trying to do the whole experience of seeing what you guys are going to see. So
Yeah.
hopefully some formative information there, and definitely going to try to challenge Pat at some point, give him some practice for his
Yeah.
what's the word?
I'm ready. I'm
Super
ready
seal.
to.
No, not super sealed. Sideboarding skills. Because
Oh,
I feel like sideboarding is going to be really relevant to that format, given
Probably.
how.
I'm ready to invest $100 to help Pat.
Oh yeah,
I already have like 2 stacks.
yeah. You
of
already
super
have your
seals,
seal.
so
I've seen that.
I can do 2 already. They
You
are,
can do 2?
I
Cool.
keep them sealed, so.
Cool. Solved.
That's awesome.
All right. Well, thanks, Sailor. Thanks, Pat, for joining us tonight. Always super fun to have you in for our set reviews. We're gonna talk obviously before you go to Worlds, but probably not online. So best of luck to the two of you officially over there. We're gonna probably have a watch party locally following what's going
Nice.
on. We're gonna be cheering on you following the results for the whole weekend. You have
Let's meet in the final.
Yeah.
Pat. Let's
Yeah,
meet in the
exactly. Oh,
final.
man.
That would be the
Oh,
dream.
that would be
Yeah,
great.
and fun fact, we're gonna take the same plane because I decided to
Yep.
leave from Montreal to get the direct flight with the kids. It's much easier. And talking
Yeah.
with Mark, like, oh, we actually took the same flight because it
We're
was
the
the
same
best
flight.
one.
We're also both bringing our
Yeah.
families there. So yeah,
The Quebec
that's
delegation
gonna
in
be
one flight.
amazing.
That's awesome.
yeah.
But yeah,
it's
we're going to
really-
be
really
cheering you
is.
on remotely. Best of luck to the both of you. We hope to see you both in final. That would be
The dream.
the dream, yes.
The dream, for
Quebec
sure,
dream.
for sure.
Yeah.
But regardless of the results,
This is where we would cut the Mickey in two, right? That's
Like the
that's what
playmat?
people do,
Please
right?
don't. Please don't.
That would hurt.
I cringe so
Imagine
hard
two
when I saw that
people
online.
they going to final and they say, "Oh, let's split prize," and the Ravens will, "Ah, you cannot do that. Why not?"
handshake between the two
And they
guys.
don't play the final. Oh my god, that would be such a shame to skip the best of 5 finals. Who's the world champion? We don't know.
Coin flip.
Heads or
If we
tails.
win. Oh my god.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, best of luck, guys. We're going to be cheering you on. We're going to be having both of you afterwards to, if you have time, obviously. If one of you becomes world champion,
You're,
the
you're gonna have
schedule
a
might be-
loaded schedule.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but no, we're going to be happy to have you back afterwards to talk about your experience. Thank you guys for joining us tonight for the set review. Like and subscribe if you've made it this far. That's the best thing you can do to help the channel. This is Drew. I've been Nick. Pat, Sailor, thank you for being there. And until next time, keep questing.
Bye bye.